Today, we're going to break down everything you need to know when it comes to running catalogs with your Facebook and Instagram ads. We're also going to give step-by-step instructions whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced level marketer. So whether you've been running catalog ads for years or you haven't started yet, this video is perfect for you. And stick around to the very end because we're doing a massive, massive, massive giveaway. So today, I'm joined by Dan Pantelo, founder of Marpipe and the Catalog Cult. So let's get started at the very beginning.
We have the legendary Professor Charlie T.
Thank you so much, man. It's great to be back in here. I love being in the Catalog Cult lair. The last time we did a video here, it was super big, and so I'm really excited to talk about like what people should be doing in Q5 and 2025 and like how to maximize the efficacy of their Facebook ads with probably the simplest money printer known to mankind.
Dude, that amazing. Wow, so much to unpack there. So, okay, for kind of we did a video about this before. It was a big hit. People seem to be really interested in dynamic product ads.
Yeah.
For people who don't know yet, like really high level, could you just give us like a super high level view? What's dynamic product ads? Why should people care?
Yeah, awesome. So dynamic product ads are basically this carousel that you just get to see in your Facebook and Instagram feeds. Mm-hmm. So it's like you can swipe through the different products, right? And it really lets people see exactly the products that they're looking for, as well as shopping around your store without having to go to your website. Mm-hmm. I love to make analogies into the real world, and basically a catalog ad is being able to walk up and down the aisles of the store, mm-hmm. but being able to do it from like your phone in bed or whatever, right? Like, so you get to see all of the products you're interested in, the sizes, the colors, the variations, the flavors, whatever it happens to be for whatever business it is. Mm-hmm. And it allows advertisers to be able to sell everything in the store with one ad unit instead of having to make ads for every single product.
So a dynamic product ad is like one ad that's actually a bunch of ads?
Yeah, so it's one ad that's showing everything. And it's also customizable, which is great, and we'll get into that in a bit. But you can also select what is eligible for that. So it's like, when you get a catalog in the mail and it's like a magazine with like 15 products or 15 pages or 50 products or 100, it's not everything that the store sells. Yeah. But it's like all the things they want you to buy. Right. And you can kind of curate it in that way too for different business objectives, whether it's, and we'll get into this in a bit, but like maybe you want to do your top selling products or the ones that are best to get new customers into the store or whatever's in season or whatever. You can aim it for business objectives, which is incredibly powerful.
Got it. And to like, so there's, so for like you work with several like high SKU brands.
Sure.
Right. So, with just like high level, right? There's video ads, there's regular video ads, there's regular image ads. And then catalog ads are like advertising all of your products all at once. How are those like targeted?
Yeah, so DPA ads or catalog ads are targeted by showing people what they're interested in. And it really, so there's three different types of ads you can have on Facebook or Meta or whatever. First one is just your manual sales campaigns. Yeah. When we're talking about e-commerce. So manual sales campaigns show people your content because it's something they want to see. Mm-hmm. So you're earning attention, specifically trying to give somebody a positive user experience. And the better the end user experience, the higher the quality users that you're going to be able to reach for a lower and lower price. Your frequency will be lower, your CPMs will be lower, and you're just reaching more people to get them interested. That's intent creation at scale. Mm-hmm. Then you have Advantage Shopping, or Advantage Plus Suite, which is really designed to show people your content because you're selling exactly what they want to buy. Mm-hmm. So if I have a product where I have an ad for like a pair of sneakers and I know that I'm trying to sell this one particular SKU, and then I can force that onto people's feeds because they're shopping for it. So those ads tend to be higher CPM, higher frequency, and fatigue faster.
Interesting.
But I'm not earning the placement. I just know your credit card is out, so I'm trying to show it to you. So a way of looking at that is a normal manual sales campaign is sort of like television or radio. You're just trying to earn attention, become popular. Whereas an advantage shopping campaign is more like a bazaar or a market where there's 1,000 people out. Somebody's got their credit card. There's 1,000 people selling the same thing. You're just trying to get them to buy from you. Where a catalog ad instead is saying Meta is looking at all of the data of all the websites you've been in. They know what market you're in. So for instance, I used to run the ads for New Balance. And we would see that 2/3 of the first impressions that we would see. So if it was the first impression you saw from us, 2/3 of those were somebody who had abandoned cart with another sneaker company. So if I'm trying to sell a pair of red trainers and it knows, hey, this person's been on Reebok, they've been on Nike, they've been on Chuck Taylor, they've been on Puma, they've been on Adidas, or Adidas or whatever, and like they've been on sneakers, they know like, okay, this person is looking for a red pair of tennis shoes that has a certain like makeup, that is a low top, that is red, that's a price point of like $80 to $125. They might have also been in 1 or 2 stores in person and they haven't bought yet. So what they're looking for is this type of thing. And so the DPA ad is a way of using all of that metadata from all the websites you've been on, as well as all of your offline data and your buying modeling behavior, because maybe you also buy a pair of running shoes every other April.
Sure.
And your homies are buying more, and you're spending more time in parks, and you're spending more time at the gym, you spend more time inside of shoe stores, and you've been shopping around. They're using all of that data to be like, look, you're in the market for a pair of red sneakers. Here's another company you haven't been to. Here's all of their red sneakers that fit what you're doing, and you can just kind of browse through. So it's doing all of the hard work for you of product discovery and making it really easy to give you a positive user experience to buy things.
Right. And is that kind of the reason why? So catalog ads, the way they look is like very bad.
Yeah, right.
Right? It's just product images.
Yeah, it's just product
images. There's no designer jumping in and being like, let's make this brand compliant or whatever like that, right? So it's like it's just the first image on your PDP is what the ad creative is for your catalog ad. So despite looking so basic and raw, is that kind of like why they work well?
Yeah, because the thing is, when you have some folks put a lot of time and effort into making really engaging videos.
Yeah.
But I have to watch the whole video for it to work. And then some people will, but if I don't want to watch it, then the video's lost on me. Some folks will make really highly designed images that are having features and benefits and all sorts of stuff, which works if I'm in that customer journey and you're overcoming my objection. But if I'm in market where I'm just looking around for the right pair of red sneakers or the right handbag or the right wallet or the right piece of jewelry, especially if it's a more visual thing, and I'm just like, I need the thing that looks the right way, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm on like page 5 of Amazon, just going through trying to find the right thing, all I need is that product image, because that product image is going to set aside for me to be more interested. Yeah. And if we pair that with the name of the product and a price point, I'm checking. All I'm doing is being like, my credit card is out. I want to buy something.
Yeah.
Can you meet my needs enough for me to click?
Right.
And that's the purpose of why these really ugly ads convert really well, because it gets everything across, because you're coming to the table with intent and knowledge and like preparation and research. You're just ready to buy.
Yeah.
And so it's just like another way of making sure that you can be in that person's feed with exactly what they're looking for when they're ready to make the purchase.
Yeah. So okay, cool. That's kind of what DPA is and how it works high level.
Yeah.
You're one of the best wizards of DPA I've come
I'll
across.
take that. I appreciate it.
And so I'm going to put you on the hot seat, and I want to prompt you with I want you to think of and give one tip for beginners to DPA.
Okay.
Right? So like, what's a tip, like if you're new to DPA, what's like a kind of basic no-brainer thing that you should be doing or starting out with? A tip for beginners, a tip for intermediates, and then a tip for experts.
I love
a tip
it.
for the person who's like, yeah, dude, I'm running like 100K on DPA every day, right? What should those people know?
Okay, got it. So for beginners, when you're running DPA, I would start off with a run of site. Basically have all of your products available.
Okay.
I would have that be done in 2 different audiences. I would have it be done in broad, which is DABA. When you open up your DPA ad, it can be prospecting or retarget people because they've been to your website. Hit the prospecting. Now you might say, well, how is it a prospecting ad? I can't make attention to all this other stuff. Your prospecting ad could very well be a bottom of funnel ad for one of your competitors' marketing funnels.
Yeah.
Remember when I said New Balance, 2/3 of our first touch was somebody that had added to cart in one of our competitors in the last 48 days. It might be the first time they ever see you, but you're solving a problem nobody else has, or you're visually appealing in a certain way. Whatever it is, somebody's ready to buy. You don't need to take them through the whole funnel. Their credit card is out. You're just like, hey, by the way, you've been unhappy at X, Y, and Z. How about us? And like, great, I'm ready to go. So that's an amazing thing that you should be doing. Also, though, I think you need to have what I call like a 10K audience, like a bottom of funnel effort. And one of the things that I tell all beginners to do is go to your events manager and look at your view content and your add to cart. And it defaults to 28 day. And it might say, oh, I have 17,000 of this or 3,000 of that. Play around with the timelines. And what I'm looking for is an audience where I have roughly 10,000 events.
Got it. So that could be view content.
It could be view content or add to cart. I don't generally go below that, but
is there a look back window that's too long?
I don't think there's a look back window that's too long for this audience, because primarily what we need is an audience large enough for, if we're successful, we can scale.
Okay.
And if it doesn't work, we know that we can't get further down.
Okay.
So it's a great like middle of the road. You can drill down a little bit more if you want to, but if that audience doesn't work, you know to maybe move on, right? And so that audience might be a view content from the last 3 days and an add to cart from the last 10 or something like that. Yeah. You also have to remember that view content isn't, that audience, that event number isn't the audience size. If I go to your website and I check out 4 different product pages, I'm hitting 4 different view content events.
Right.
If I add 3 things to cart, that's 3 add to carts. So an audience of 10,000 events might be 3 to 8,000 people. But 3 to 8,000 people over like the last week or 2 weeks or whatever is enough for me to be like, can I get this product across?
Right.
And if the DPA ad doesn't work there, I usually know that there's a larger issue at play.
Got it.
And that's a great way for brands that are entry level to just say, I'm going to try to steal sales from my competitors, and I'm going to try to close the deal on people who've been on my website.
Right.
Which one works?
Right.
And then I can just push more money to that.
And if neither of those work, that's a good litmus test as a beginner to be like, there's some other issue here before I really dive into DPA. I need to unclog some pipe.
Yeah, if you can't make that work, there's a not Facebook ad problem.
Right.
That we need to really work on. And so I think that's, for a beginner, check those 2 boxes.
So just to recap, take your whole product catalog, right, into a product feed, which can be generated by Shopify. If you're on Shopify, it's just it's a link, you can export it. Or you can use a feed management platform. And you drop that full catalog link into Commerce Manager. Right, to upload your source feed to Meta. Then you run 2 campaigns.
I would have 2 ad sets within one campaign.
One campaign, 2 ad sets. One ad set is DABA, dynamic ads for broad audiences.
That's right,
And the other one is a retargeting one.
Yes.
That's focused on at least a 10,000 event retargeting audience.
Yeah, and I like 10,000 because if it works, we can scale the budget. If it really works, we can go further up the funnel or further longer in time.
Cool.
So for instance, if the add to cart 7-day really works, and I crank my budget and it won't spend anymore, my frequency is hitting like 3.5, 4 a day, I could go view content 10-day, or I can go add to cart 2 weeks. Like I can go further back in time or further up the funnel so I can scale.
Beautiful. That's super actionable, and I think that's a great place to start for someone who's just getting into DPA. And we recommend the same thing.
Love it.
Let's move on. Intermediate.
Yeah, so intermediate, I think if I'm an intermediate player.
So let's say someone has set that up.
Okay.
They're running some good spend through it. It's working. It's one of the best performing campaigns in the ad account.
Sure.
What's the next step?
What's the next step? Got it. So the next step is I'm going to probably start curating some of my product catalogs. And what I mean by that is I'm going to probably start to see, I'm going to start to take a look into my product catalog, and I'm going to do 3 different things. First off, I'm going to go to delivery. In the breakdown section, I'm going to go to delivery and then product ID. I want to understand, and I'm going to probably export that, and you can use Excel spreadsheets or just go into ChatGPT. But I want to know like what products are getting all the spend. What items are showing up most often in my DPA ads, and I want to kind of cross-reference that with like the conversion rates of those landing pages.
Now Facebook doesn't like readily show you that information.
It'll show you spend.
Okay.
It'll show you spend. Depending on your ad account, about 10% of people are now starting to see more data, which is exciting.
Okay.
Which we haven't seen for a couple of years. But you can then cross-reference that spend to, in Shopify, there's an easy report that'll show sessions by landing page. It's like number of sessions, and then add to cart, add to carts, initiate checkouts, conversion rates, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you can begin to cross-reference. Hey, is this item that's getting 35% of my spend one that converts really well, or does it have like a 0% conversion rate?
God.
So I can begin to optimize out items that are really bad,
right.
or make a curated feed of my highest converting items.
So Meta won't show you, like, so Meta will readily show you spend per product.
Yeah.
So like, let's say I have like 10,000 SKUs. It'll show me a breakdown of like which SKUs are getting the most spend.
One's got 3 cents, one's got $500 a day.
But it won't. But it won't show me any performance metrics based on SKU
without custom conversion events. Yeah.
Okay, and I feel like
we'll get to that one. Yeah.
But so it won't readily show me like my CAC or ROAS per per SKU. So we need to sort of extrapolate, and we need to like kind of MacGyver some reports together to extrapolate like what's really working. And you're saying the Shopify is a good place to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So what I'll do is I might go to breakdown by product.
Yeah.
And then say it's like last 30 days, I'll go breakdown. I'll hit the breakdown button, which is between columns and reports. And then I'll go down to the bottom of it where it says delivery. And then at the very bottom of it, you usually have to scroll a little bit. It says product ID.
Yeah.
Like I can just see the dashboard going in my head. And then like that'll spit out a report of every single SKU, every single line item. It's just basically every single square that could exist in a DPA ad.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that, and then I'm going to have that by spend, and I have that report, and I'm going to cross-reference that with the landing pages just to make sure that the things that are getting a lot of budget are also the good ones. Mm-hmm. And I can then either optimize out the items that don't work, or what I could do is I could find, hey, these are some of my landing pages that convert really, really well. Mm-hmm. What if I made a catalog that was just those best performing products, the products that have a really high conversion rate? Let me just drive more traffic to them. Say my average product has a 1% conversion rate, but some are at a 4, and some are at like 0.5 or something like that. Like,
right.
Why don't I drive traffic to all of the things that are at 2 or above?
Yeah.
And then I've got a couple dozen products that are my highest converting ones. Why not spend my money driving people to landing pages and products that convert really well?
Right. It's sort of like, every like e-com operator understands the effectiveness of having like a best sellers page on their site, right? Where it's like you'll have like men's, women's, children's, new arrivals, and then you'll have best sellers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And like I feel like that's always, whenever I see a website, that's always the hottest
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Everyone always clicks the best sellers, and that's the highest converting page. And so it's like if you have a bestsellers collection on your site, you should also have one for your DPA.
Absolutely. Or another example of this, just because, whatever, I'm a nerd. Like if back in elementary school, I played a lot of Magic the Gathering. And at one point in time, we realized that you didn't have to play with every single card you owned.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're like, this card
sucks,
I'm just going to take it out.
Home, yeah.
So you start making decks.
Right.
It's the same thing. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to play with every one of your toys all the time. Right? Like you can put your best foot forward.
That's a really good analogy.
And so that one hit home for me just because
So it's like making performance categories.
Yes.
Where like and I guess should you try playing with different ones, right? So like maybe like a category that's like top 10% best sellers or highest converters, and then maybe top 10% like items with the highest AOVs.
Sure, exactly. Yeah,
maybe.
So great example of that. Like I'm doing this with some brands right now where if we know if say our AOV is 105, I'll make a catalog where every product is at least $120. Mm-hmm. Or another thing that might work is if I go into my Shopify reports and I can see new customers and returning customers, and I know what items most often drive a new customer acquisition who's likely to buy a second time. What items start a customer journey with a high repeat purchase rate?
Yeah.
Let me just make a catalog of those items.
Yeah.
Because I know that customer is worth more money. My LTV is going to improve if I just sell those products.
Right.
I've also done some clothing brands where we're just focused on like what are all the items that are like summer items and now it's like October. Let me just clear inventory, right?
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of different ways that you can weaponize it, and you can do it for
the inventory liquidation one is a really good one, especially post holiday season.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just get rid of everything. It's the like Halloween candy on November 1st, right? Like make that catalog so that like you can get rid of the shit, right? Because like items on your shelf cost more money.
Right.
Every day.
Yeah.
Like it's not like, well, I paid $50 to get it. Yes, but also that's now inventory that's taking up turnover. Right? And it's cash that's not in your bank account. The worst place for money to be is in product on your shelf.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you need to get rid of that some way. Yeah. So there's a lot of these different high AOV or maybe potentially low CPA customer acquisition devices. You can begin to start looking at each product performs a different business function for your business.
Right.
So you can start to curate them. And my favorite are customer acquisition, high AOV, long money, so LTV products, seasonal things, maybe new product drops, customs, bestsellers. Yeah. Like you can begin to itemize that out with your catalogs. And you'll also notice that some of those work differently based on audience.
Yeah.
So like your LTV products might work great against a retention audience. So we talked about DABA, we talked about retargeting. What about all your existing customers? And you just show everybody that buys returning, everybody that's a returning customer. These are all the items they buy. Let me make a catalog that's just those things so I can improve LTV.
Yeah. And then maybe for the prospecting ones, you have a... For your prospecting campaign, you have like a category that's just like your lowest CAC items.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? And that's just your acquisition.
Yeah, exactly. You know. So that you can pull a lever of, I need to lower CAC. Great, I'm going to push this catalog.
Yeah.
I need to improve LTV. Great, I'm going to push this catalog. I need to clear dead stock. Great, I've got individual levers for those business objectives.
Absolutely.
And if you're pushing serious weight behind DPA, like you need to start focusing in on how do I weaponize this for business objectives.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, for anyone who's wondering like how do I do that? You can get into your feed management platform and dig through spreadsheets and just like try to put it together yourself. Or like Marpipe, we make that really easy. You just press of a button.
There you go.
Sorry,
I like it.
I had to do the plug.
No, you should, and that's great. And also one other thing for this too, and this is maybe the last bit of intermediate before we get to advanced.
Yeah.
Is that there are these things in your catalog management feed called custom labels. Mm-hmm. And you could make custom label 0, true or false, is this item one of those that has a better than average conversion rate, true or false. So you could say, okay, great, true. Now I have a product set where the only rule on it is custom label 0 equals true. Mm-hmm. And now, the problem is whenever you make a product set, you can't edit them, but you can build them around business rules. Mm-hmm. So you can have it be a custom label makes things eligible or not eligible for a product set. Mm-hmm. So you could I did some brands that do a lot of drops.
Yeah.
If it was a drop, then custom label 1 equals true. It says drop item. And so we would exclude all items of a drop from the catalog because we know those things are going to sell like hotcakes anyway.
Yeah.
So as soon as it's not part of the latest drop, it becomes eligible for a catalog ad.
Right.
And now we're letting the email team and the organic team and the customer service or whatever kill the drops.
Yeah.
And we're not just letting the DPA kind of steal credit and waste our money on that. You know, so we can really kind of weaponize it.
And are you doing that manually? Are you going in and tagging things like one by one in a massive SKU spreadsheet?
I generally think you should have software that solves that problem.
Yeah. Right.
Especially if we're going to be doing like thousands of SKUs. If you got like 25 maybe.
Yeah.
But like once you start hitting 70, 80, 100 or more, then you got to do it. Plus you can also have it in stock, out of stock.
Exactly.
Like you should have a rule that you can't have a DPA ad show an item that is out of stock.
Oh, absolutely. Especially right now when people are selling out of their bestsellers and stuff.
It's like
it's like people are. I see this all the time with like video. So these like DTC brands that will have like several hero products.
Yeah.
They will like produce like really hot, like really effective video ads that drive to that hero product, and when that hero product sells out, like that beautiful piece of creative is. You can't do anything with it.
And then I'll see those same brands where like that product will eat up 30-40% of their DPA ad spend.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it sells out, well, their DPAs go to shit, and then their CPMs skyrocket, and it's because you're showing people a bunch of things they can't buy, so the user experiences are terrible.
Yeah.
So not only are your CPAs bad, but now you're reducing the quality of your relationship with Facebook, and then all of your ad costs go up per like the cost of inventory.
Yeah.
Which is terrible.
So let's recap. The beginner tip was the basic setup that you want to start DPA with to understand whether it works for you, which is you want to have your full catalog in one campaign, 2 ad sets. One is DABA, and one is like a retargeting audience of at least 10,000 events.
Sure.
Intermediate tip is let's start breaking into the feed itself. Instead of running the full feed against everything, right? Let's start categorizing our feed and and truncating it into sections that make sense for like what our goals are, right?
Yeah.
So like let's create like a bestsellers category of the feed and run just the bestsellers maybe and test that against the prospecting audience versus the retargeting audience. Let's create a high AOV feed, test that against the retargeting audience. Low CAC feed, test that against the prospecting audience.
Sure.
Right? So we're playing with the deck analogy was so good. We're creating different decks for different opponents that are like well built for it, right?
Yeah,
Rather than bringing every
You're trying to use the right
fight.
tool for the right job instead of bringing the entire toolkit with you every single day.
Exactly. Okay, cool. So let's break into expert.
Like the expert level.
Yeah.
Like, so at this point, if you got all of that stuff down, you can also begin to track some of these items inside of Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about how the feed doesn't give you that data, but there's no reason you can't use third-party information to do it. So you can use offline conversion events to say, is it a new customer or not? And you can go to our friends at Popsicle or Elevar or anybody else to pump in purchase new customer as an option. Awesome. So now you're going to see new customer acquisition cost by line item product ID inside of your DPA catalog.
Wait. So slow down. Unpack that a little more.
So you can have a pixel event fire when a new customer is created.
Yes.
So say your Shopify, it says new versus returning. If it's a new, then it fires a custom conversion event that says new customer. Mm-hmm. That'll show up as a column inside of your Facebook dashboard. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when you have that breakdown by product ID, you can also have, it'll begin to show that line item of purchase new customer by product ID, because it's not dependent on the Facebook pixels based off of offline data.
So it'll show you which new, out of the SKUs that you have, you can see spend, which Facebook will tell you, but then you can also see how many have acquired a new customer. Yeah,
so then you'll have a volume, and then you can extrapolate efficiency of 500 spent, 200 new customers. You can get down to, well, that's $2.50 CAC. That's great. Mm-hmm. So you can begin to see that. Mm-hmm. 3 other things that I would do. One is have product categories. Mm-hmm. So if you have like you could have bags, belts, wallets, shoes, all of the items that have that product category could have a custom conversion event that say category equals. Yeah. So in your feed, in your website, all your products are listed under 7 product categories. You can use custom conversion events that say all items that have this product category equals a bag buyer, a shoe buyer, something like that. So you can begin to, even at your entire run of site, your entire product catalog, understand what products are being sold inside the catalog, and then also you can begin to then say, wow, our bags are just selling really hotcakes. Maybe bags is a product category that I should be running as its own feed inside of the DPA, or what's going well and what's not. And so these custom conversion events based around product categories can be really strong. New customers can be really strong. And then you can begin to optimize. Instead of having the event that you're optimizing to be a purchase event, it could be new customer, it could be bag buyer. You can really start to weaponize this for other things. And then the last thing for the super advanced folks that I'd be focusing on is what is a value add that occurs after the purchase. So like, do you have an upsell after the purchase that is, let's say, a subscription, or just anytime you're using like a one-click upsell, can you pixel that event occurring? So then you could, if you're doing enough scale, optimize not only towards a purchase, but a purchase of somebody who's going to take the upsell, a purchase of somebody who's going to take the subscription, a purchase of somebody who's going to buy the shipping insurance or whatever it is. You can optimize for that more valuable customer. So your pixel event that you're optimizing to the ad set can now meet the business objective. Now you can really play between audience, catalog, and optimization event, and then track all of those individual items. And if you're pushing, like, you need to be doing some serious volume to make sure any of these things work. But like, if you're getting 100 plus conversion events a day in any ad set, you could probably optimize down to a more valuable data point.
Yeah.
And for brands where I'm doing 50, 80, 100,000 a day plus,
right,
we've got all of these dialed in. So then we might say, we know this is our best customer acquisition category.
Yeah.
So we're going to let that go, and it's our CAC device. And we're measuring the CAC on that is, $80 versus 115 or whatever it is, right? But you need to be, that is a really easy way to make these extraordinarily more effective. So you can focus on what business objectives do we have.
Yeah.
And then you can really get into the play of instead of looking at ROAS or AOV or CPA, you can take average order value minus CPA to see your margin, your profit volume per transaction. And you can understand, well, if my item that I sell for $10, I make $30 on it. And the item I sell for $80, I make $30 on it. Why am I selling a thing for $80 when I can get 8 times as many customers?
Right.
And now you can start pushing multipliers on volume of profit. And you can do some really fun stuff.
Right.
But that's where you can weaponize the catalog to achieve different business objectives. And then at that point, the only other ads you're running are the ones that drive your cash flow device.
Yeah. It's ad accounts that are set up with this sort of intensity are just well-oiled machines. You see it and you're just it is definitely, it takes work to set this up. But once you have this ripping, the maintenance level is pretty low, actually, right? Because it's with an account that just churns and burns UGC nonstop, that's a really demanding furnace to feed, right? Because you need to be constantly producing all these assets and testing them, and 90% don't even work, right?
Yeah.
And then, but with DPA, once you have a setup like this, it doesn't really fatigue.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the thing is the DPA ads don't fatigue as an inherent nature of them. And the other thing is too, if you have a DPA ad where, I think all businesses need a cash flow device, a volume of transactions device, and a profit generation machine. So you can understand, I need more profit today. I need more of a day one profitability. I have a tool for that. I need a volume of transactions so my blended CPA comes down. I have a tool for that. And I need a cash flow. Well, how do I sell a thing where somebody's more likely to buy a second or third time? If your one campaign of a hero offer is set up to buy the customers that are most likely to buy a second time, you can use catalog ads to increase the volume of transactions, or the profitability of transactions. So you don't need your one campaign to do all of the work, which ultimately allows that campaign to be far less efficient. Right. And you're just saying, I know this is long money. I'm going to invest that, and then you can have ad accounts spending $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a day where you have 2-3 campaigns. Yeah, that's the simplest setups are always the best. Yeah, right? And the beautiful thing of that too is you do way less creative testing because your ads don't need to live and die by the performance each day because your catalogs are doing all the heavy lifting. Yeah, and you're just letting your ads sit and mature and get smarter and smarter and smarter. So the daily management of an ad account like that, I'm managing accounts like that where I will spend 2 or 3 hours a week managing an account which might drive $1 million in rev on a weekly basis. That's amazing. And it's that's a marketer's wet dream right there. Yeah, it's you should be spending your time not in the weeds, but setting up the machine to be more powerful. If you're a manager who needs to micromanage your employees, it's because you haven't done a good job. Right. And it's the ads manager. You are the manager. You're not the one bidding there, doing auctions every quarter of microsecond or whatever. So the more work you need to do in your ad account, that's a direct reflection of the quality of the work that you're doing. Yeah. And I love people to weaponize the ad account to make it easy so that you can focus on more important things. Because at the end of the day, the Facebook ad is just the top of a funnel. Yeah. That then goes to intent capture and then inventory marketing and then a purchase and then an AOV and then a second purchase. Yeah. And your first purchase is the item where you make the least profit. Right. So you should be just running your Facebook ads to acquire either volume of purchases or people are going to buy a second time. And catalog can handle everything other than the sale of your one hero SKU. Because the catalog shouldn't be used to sell one item. No. But figure out your best weapon and then use catalog for everything else.
Now, one last question for you. I know that right before we jumped on air, you were looking at some examples of the Ridge DPA because one of your clients was asking about it. Yeah. Tell me, what's to be said for creative in DPA?
I think it's really interesting because it's a normally boring space. You can introduce concepts of pattern interrupt, and you can also do value props in there. So I think the one we were looking at was a Black Friday sale. It's okay, so not just any ad, but now this is a Black Friday sale from that brand. And I'm sure that if you have a Black Friday sale where not every item, it's like up to 30% off, but some items might not be for sale, you can really curate that. And I think the ability to understand how something better than a flat lay will work. Now, we started this off just assuming, hey, the ugly ad works, so let's just run with it. Mm-hmm. But if you dialed all that in, why not also take an approach at improving the user experience in a way that captures more attention?
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to do a badge that says Black Friday, but what if it's a lifestyle set?
Yeah,
like, what if you've taken the effort of actually doing lifestyle shots for like 200 SKUs?
Right.
Why avoid using that in your catalog ads?
Right.
Like, you can 100% do that. And some of my favorite brands, like Dandy Del Mar, will do that, where they do lifestyle shots for all the different drops, and now the catalog ads sell the lifestyle on top of the product, and
Absolutely.
it's like that is thinking 3 steps ahead.
Yeah, right.
And if you have the photography, why not use it?
And
it might fail, but it might crash.
And if you don't have the photography, you should be creating it for this purpose.
Yeah,
because it makes your DPA perform so much better.
Yeah, and so it's just like trying to really understand, like, you can get really simple, but when really simple maxes out, you can then start to take luxury shots.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that you need to look at creative treatment in your catalogs as, that's what I'm going to do when I've dialed in, I've got my audiences, I've got my product sets, I've got my custom events, I've dialed down so I know what my CAC is, I know what I can understand CAC by product category. I can understand LTV by product category. I can control customer journeys. I can improve LTV. I can improve conversion rate. I can improve. I've tackled all the business objectives.
Right.
So now my next thing is, well, how do I make the ad better?
Dialing it in. Right.
And what I would say is, making the ad better is probably a lower inflection point than what you're advertising, but it is something that you should be focused on, because there's only so good a white backdrop is going to do.
Yeah, right. And if you're a sale heavy or promotional brand,
sure.
And you, like, let's say you have a category. Let's say your intermediate tip was create categories, right? So let's say you create a category for best sellers, but then you also want to create a category for things that are on sale.
Sure.
Right? How do you know, in the user experience, when you see that ad in your feed, how do you know that item is on sale?
Yeah.
Right? Other than maybe the tiny little copy that might highlight it, right? Just making that obvious in the creative.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just a really easy lift.
Yeah, and it's just to that point, especially if you're a brand that has an affinity with your customer base. We don't necessarily have to be a startup brand. If you've got a brand with thousands of customers that like your product.
Yeah.
Having an on-sale catalog, people are like, oh, it's on sale, and they're going to go through that entire catalog just to see if the item they like is there.
Yep.
And that's only going to improve your estimated action rate of the ad. It's only going to lower your CPMs. And even if they don't buy that, you're just earning more trust and earning more excitement and earning more attention. And I'm a sucker for the Converse drops, so all the new product badge. I'm in there going through all of them constantly.
Yeah.
And it's a way of having a conversation and making your customers engaged with your ads in a way that is exciting and not just mundane. And there's a reason that when if you were to make a catalog and print it up in a magazine and send it to somebody, it's not product shot label.
Yeah.
Right? It's there's a vibe to it, right? You're trying to create a collection. You're trying to really tell a story and have a conversation that's above and beyond just the picture of the item. So I think it's something that is hyper powerful if you're ready for it. I think that some folks think that the creative treatment is the secret weapon, but actually the problem is the business isn't set up to sell catalog.
Yeah.
And so in an order of operations, the beginner, the intermediate, and the expert is the order that I would go. Does it work at broad and with your 10K audience? If so, can we then begin to break down the data to optimize it? From there, can we then begin to optimize for those breakdown sections? And then from there, let's improve the creative treatment. Because if you put the creative treatment before you know if it even works, you're going to invest a lot of time and energy in trying to solve a problem that is unsolvable.
Yeah, totally.
But then being said, it's a great way if you figure out everything else to just kind of make everything 5% better, 10% better. And at that scale where you're starting to do that, 2 or 3% is millions.
Yeah. There's one last cherry I'll sprinkle in here.
Okay.
Only because we've actually been getting just so many questions about this from brands who run DPA. So So Meta has recently rolled out video DPA.
Gotcha.
Right? Which is where you can, and I don't know if you've played around with this yet. A lot of brands haven't, because in order to run it, you need to have a video for every SKU.
Sure, which is
just a lot
ridiculous.
of people
Nobody
don't
has that. Yeah.
Right? So we actually built a product to address that.
Love it.
Right? Using Marpipe, you can generate a video template and run every SKU through it. So you do have a video, like a SKU specific video for every SKU in your catalog, and you can test that in Meta. And one of the things that we discovered was that this was so cool. I didn't realize this, but there's this Meta came out with like this when they announced video DPA, they said that when for e-commerce stores that have a video of the SKU on their product page, the return rates are like substantially lower.
Sure. Okay.
Right. So I thought that was really interesting, because it's like, it appears that the thesis is the more you show people about the product, right, the more they are likely to understand it and less likely they are to return it.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And return rates are like the silent killer for everyone, especially
absolutely.
during holiday season.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And so being able to generate a video for your SKUs that like reveals more product information, just basic, you don't need to like do something fancy, right? Just basic stuff about the product actually goes a really long way in like lowering return rates, which is like a second order effect I didn't think about.
Oh no, that totally makes sense. At the end of the day, you're just having a more excited, more informed consumer.
Yeah.
And we live in a world where we expect free shipping and free returns.
Sure.
And if you can meet that expectation where somebody's like, everybody else has an image, and you've shown a video that shows like, well, what's the back of the thing look like? Or this is the construction.
Right.
Or this is, like, oh, okay.
Just attributes.
Like, I'm just excited, right?
Whatever.
Right? Like, okay.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I now understand that this isn't the same as everything else, because like this one thing is different, and that's the one thing that like sets it apart, and I get really excited. You get an emotional buy-in. You have a more informed consumer. And if your return rate is 10%, you can make it 5%.
Yeah.
You can add 5% to your Facebook ad budget and just go out and acquire more customers.
Absolutely, dude. Dude, you know how I knew this was going to be a hit?
What's that?
Because you came into the catalog cult wearing a coffee cult
Oh,
shirt.
look at that. Yeah. I love this. By the way, this is from a great brand called Picnic with Y's. Love Picnic, bunch of food-based stuff. But yeah, dude, we're cults here, buddy.
I'll join the coffee cult if you join the catalog cult.
I like it. Sounds good, buddy.
Cheers.
So there you have it. That was an incredible conversation, and honestly, I've already pre-sent this out to like a dozen brands that I'm working with. I was like, this isn't out yet, but like you need to see this. So with that being said, you'll find a link in the description down below to join Marpipe or to have a conversation with Dan yourself. Now, I promised a massive giveaway, so here's the link. Right there. If you go there, you're going to get something that I normally charge hundreds of dollars for absolutely free. And if you want to know even more about DPA and dive even deeper into the success that you deserve, there's a great video right here. With that being said, until next time, I'll see you on the internet. Bye.